Hey folks, Real Honesty with John Ritlin. I'm John Ritlin. This is Rapid Fire episode 29. Just going to talk about a few things here. Anyways, watch these. I just take a few subjects and I just talk about them quickly instead of making one video for each subject. Because I'm nearing 1,000 videos, I don't need to do something about each subject, so just condense all of them. But anyway, it's about John Bones Jones, who has been popped for steroid usage again. Tested positive for steroid usage after UFC 214. Now, I want to make this clear. I'm a casual MMA fan. I used to buy the pay-per-views a lot. The last pay-per-view I actually honestly bought was the one with CM Punk fighting because I just want to see how he did, and I knew he'd get his ass whooped, and he did. It was actually a pretty good card. I've caught what I can of like any fight nights and stuff like that, but I do enjoy MMA. There's a lot of talent. Not everybody can do it. It's really, really tough to be an MMA fighter. And I want to say that I respect a lot of the fighters. Pretty much all the fighters that get out there, the men, the women, they get out there and do that. But I have no respect for John Bones Jones anymore. For how talented that guy is. The guy just turned 30. And this is at least, if I remember right, the second time he's gotten popped for an illegal substance. And if you remember, he had something happen in 2015 where he had a hit and run with a woman and a pregnant woman in a car, and then ran back to the scene to get a bag of stuff, money or drugs or whatever, out of the trunk or out of the car, and then make a speedy getaway. And despite that, he was still allowed to come back to MMA. Now, is John Jones the only MMA fighter to get in trouble? Absolutely not. There's one, I don't remember the guy's name, but he really beat the holy hell out of his girlfriend. And he's being put in jail. And has been put in jail, and I believe will be there for, if not the rest of his life, for a good long time. There have been plenty of MMA fighters that have been popped for roids, popped for other illegal. Lesnar was popped right after his fight with Mark Hunt. He's been popped. Other people have been popped. So I'm not saying that John Jones is the only one. But for the continuation of the amount of violations that he has had, especially that one about hitting that pregnant woman in the car and then, leaving the scene. I mean, clearly the guy was coked out of his damn mind. He's tested positive for cocaine before, if I recall. And really? I mean, really? Like, this guy's going to piss away his career just because he did that? I mean, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. He should not be allowed to fight again, at least in UFC. Now, I know he's a draw, but this is ridiculous. I mean, Daniel Cormier, I know that he's had his own issues with, drug abuse and that kind of stuff, but he didn't get popped this time. John Jones did. And John Jones even tweeted something out, I think it was July, later July, before the fight. Daniel says the only reason that I beat him last time was because of steroids. I wonder what his excuse will be this time. And then John Jones gets busted and popped for using steroids. Testing positive, showing that he's a fucking idiot. And I'm sorry, you're a fucking idiot for doing this. If you get popped once, look, you shouldn't do drugs anyway. You shouldn't do that kind of stuff. But if you get popped for drugs, that's just fucking ridiculous. and then it just makes everything just so unprofessional. It takes away from the people that are actually doing things clean and doing things the right way and doing things right and all this, and it's just really, really shit. I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous. It really, really is. And I mean, he should never fight in UFC again. And the people that bought the UFC for it was close to or over $4 billion, they got to be feeling really stupid right now. Because they don't have a ton of stars. McGregor is going to fight Mayweather. And by the way, I'm recording this on August 23rd. I'm taking a look at my calendar here. So no, I'm recording this before Mayweather McGregor, which I will not watch. McGregor's going and getting a whole bunch of money to fight Floyd Mayweather in a clown show. And, UFC, MMA in general is still doing pretty well. Has really come up into the mainstream, and that's great. The problem is a lot of the stars that they have, once they lose a fight or two, that's pretty much it. I mean, look at Ronda Rousey. Once Ronda Rousey lost to Holly Holm, that was it. And then she came back and fought Nunes. What? And that was like, it was like a minute, because Ronda didn't want to be there anymore. They have female, great female fighters that aren't mass appeal right now. Maybe with the right build they can be. But the men, I mean, it's just, they do have a lot of great fighters, but the problem is a lot of the names, unless you're a hardcore MMA fan, you're not going to be following them. And John Jones was one of those names where even with that screw up with the hit and run, and even with the cocaine test, testing positive for cocaine, because cocaine's a hell of a drug, he's done this. And it's just proof where right now, that whole rumored John Jones versus Lesnar fight is off the table. I don't think there's any way that happens. John Jones needs to, at least in my opinion, be suspended for 3 years. I don't know what the rules are as far as, suspensions, but I'd say 3 years. And the guy's only 30. I don't think he should be allowed to fight again. And I stand by that, or at least fight in the UFC. Because he's bad news for the company. He just can't stay out of trouble. He can't stay out of his own damn way. And it's his fault. It's all his fault. I don't care how big of a fan you are of him. You can't defend this. Oh, he was just the one that got caught. Well, if the USADA is doing such rigorous testing, then if everybody's doing it, how come Jones is the only one that was caught? At least the only high-profile fighter that was caught. That proves right there he's an idiot, and ultimately will never get it. And if he returns to the UFC, it's a slap in the face of the fighters that work really, really hard. Like, honestly, that's pretty damn ridiculous. It's just an absolute slap in the face, and the guy does not deserve to fight. He is not. To me, he's not worthy. No matter all his skill, he's not worthy of it because he doesn't want to do it the right way. He doesn't want to not commit crimes like some people do. He does not want to, stop doing illegal drugs like some people do. It's just stupid. And again, he's not the only MMA fighter, UFC fighter, whatever, that has done this kind of illegal stuff. I mean, I'm not talking about the hit and run stuff, but I'm talking about like testing positive for, cocaine, or testing positive for steroids or any other drug. I'm not saying that he's the only guy, but as high profile as he is, right after beating Daniel, the fact that he did it and he was on roids, that right there, it's making UFC seem less credible. And that's not good at all. UFC needs all the credibility it can, especially for the amount that the guys paid, that, the people paid to get the company. Because I don't think that they would want the value of the company to go down, because then if they try to sell it, they're going to take a major loss. And they might consider trying to sell it to somebody. And maybe make just a little bit of a profit, and maybe somebody, or, maybe take a little bit of a loss and just get it off their hands. Because at this point, you have to wonder, if John Jones is doing this, is UFC going to go down? I hope not. But it's possible. Hopefully, the rise of MMA continues. Because it's a great sport. It's a great sport. People work hard. People love it. People have the passion for it. Fans are great. Fighters are great. A lot of people work really, really hard and dedicate their lives, their blood, sweat, and their tears to it. And for John Jones to do this kind of stuff, it's like, he deserves to be smacked in the face repeatedly with a brick, hopefully. Maybe in his nose, and then maybe he won't take cocaine again. But yeah, all his bravado, all his great fighting ability, it's nullified by him constantly making stupid decision after stupid decision after stupid decision after stupid decision. And he's an idiot, and he deserves all the scorn that he's getting. Now, does he deserve to have to be told to kill himself and that kind of stuff. No. Now, if the woman in the hit and run had died, if he had taken a life, then okay, sure, you will meet your maker and this kind of stuff. Not saying he should still be told to kill himself, but he should have gotten more vile stuff thrown at him had that happened. Fortunately, the woman survived. At least as far as I know, she survived. And is still doing well. I mean, I don't think anybody's really heard from her since. But the whole John Jones thing is just, it is such a slap in the face of the hardworking people of MMA. And it just really, really bothers me. And the fans that support him and this kind of stuff, it's like just... And I feel bad for the guy, I believe it's at John Jones on Twitter. It's just a normal guy. He's like a tech geek, this kind of stuff. I don't know. It's at John Jones, at JONJONES. Not Johnny Bones, like John Jones is. And I feel bad for the guy, because the guy's getting his Twitter blown up. He's really pretty cool guy, though, and he's taking it in stride. But yeah. It's just ridiculous. Just absolutely ridiculous. One thing I want to touch on is something that happened a couple weeks ago. And this has to do with Disco Inferno. And Disco Inferno sent out a tweet. And this is a reference to indie show wrestling. And I know that the term indie wrestling kind of bothers some people. But it's just, companies that run shows but aren't traditionally on TV. Just make that clear. Sometimes they have streaming services, but there you go. Disco Inferno, it's like, let's see. What did the tweet say? And I wrote it down. If you are at an independent wrestling show and there is a hot girl in the crowd, post a pic of her and I will shout you out on the podcast. Now, he actually said shout you out on podcast because his English was as good as his wrestling ability and his sensibilities about women. Let me make this clear about Disco Inferno. Disco Inferno was a mid-card comedy jobber at best. That's all he ever was. And it makes sense that him and Vince Russo were friends because that's the only way that Disco probably ever got any kind of decent push in later WCW. The guy actually had some pretty damn good matches against guys like Dean Malenko and others. Because the guy actually could tell a decent story when he wasn't doing a stupid, outdated disco gimmick. Now, yeah, it got him over great. What did it do after WCW? Oh, yeah, he was in NWA TNA for a little bit as Glenn Gilberti. And do you remember stuff that he did? No, you really don't. As a road agent, the Steiner brothers, made fun of him. This kind of stuff, which was good and should have happened. He hasn't done anything in the damn business since. I don't know how that guy has a podcast because he is. I mean, that right there irritates me. It's one thing to joke, but here's the thing: if he had said, if you see a hot girl in an indie show, ask her for a pic. Take a pic of her. Look at this beauty at this wrestling show. And I'll shout you out on the podcast. This seems lecherous, creepy, and everything, and it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and it shows just a blatant lack of respect that Disco Inferno has for women and in general. Now, I'm not surprised given the fact that he's Russo's friend, and this is not knocking people that are actually friends of Russo. I want to make that clear. But given how I've heard Vince Russo describe women on some shows, especially with his religious views, because he seems like such a religious guy, no wonder Disco Inferno and him are friends. It's ridiculous. This really pissed me off. And then he ended up deleting it because he ended up getting a whole bunch of backlash to it. So I took a screen cap of it, and it's like, oh, the internet's forever, idiot. It's like, here's the thing. And I mean, like, there are guys that get picked on for being fans, but it's like the women that get picked on for being fans. And that's going to be a whole nother shoot because this show's already gone on a whole long time. But the female fans, the women that get picked on just for being wrestling fans, like, oh, you just like them because they're good-looking guys. You do realize that some like them because they're good-looking women on the show. And that kind of stuff. Pretty ridiculous. But yeah, Disco Inferno just showed why he hasn't really been relevant in a number of years because he's an idiot. Anyway, so that's going to be the end of that. Actually, I'm going to do another shoot about female wrestling fans getting too much shit. Anyway, so what do you guys think of what I had to say? Do you agree, disagree? Like, share, comment, subscribe. Twitter link is in the description. It's been Real Honesty with John Ritlin. I'm John Ritlin. I will see you soon.